Going on, class? Okay, so today the example that I have is an example of Chapter 7 bankruptcy. So, the example that I have is the following. It says Christian later, as a real estate um, deal maker, suffered during the 2008 financial crisis, which led him to face roughly $30 million in debt to investors. Over the years, he has repaid some of that, and he and his lawyer have recently reached a repayment deal that would bring all his financial troubles to an end. The deal was to divide roughly $10 million in proceeds among investors. So the explanation of this example is the reason why that this case specifically is in correspondence with Chapter 7 bankruptcy is because the deal involves something called liquidity. Liquidity when used in terms of bankruptcy, generally refers to a person or a company's assets being divided up among investors if and when said person or company goes into a large amount of debt and cannot make the payments. So because about $10 million of assets were divided among the investors who were involved with Christian, this is liquidity in a bankruptcy scenario. So the quiz question we have is the following. Christian later, as a real estate deal maker, suffered during the 2008 financial crisis, which led him to face roughly $30 million in debt to investors. Over the years, he has repaid some of that, and he and his lawyer have recently reached a repayment deal that would bring all of his financial troubles to an end. The deal was to divide roughly $10 million in proceeds among investors. What aspect of bankruptcy is showcased here? So as I stated before, the correct answer to this is liquidity. The reason why is because whenever a person can't make good on their dues that they owe investors or creditors, um, depending on if the type of investor they are, really, they're entitled to liquidity and other things. So if you're a preferred stockholder, you actually have first come first served basis basically, but that's a little more in detail than we need to go. So wrong answer one, we have solvency. Now the reason why that's wrong is because solvency is an accounting term which can be used kind of in this scenario, but it's not the same thing as liquidity. Solvency basically refers to what degree the person or company's current assets exceed their current liabilities. So again, that's more of an accounting term. It does apply to liquidity a little bit, but not in a bankruptcy scenario. Wrong answer number two is dischargeable debt. Okay, so the reason why this is incorrect is because Christian's debt isn't really being excused. Rather, the judge is signing off on a deal which is going to settle his financial obligations through a different mode rather than actual cash. Rather, it's going to be other forms of assets. And the wrong answer three is none of the above. And this is obviously wrong because liquidation of assets for debt settlement is demonstrated in this specific example. So I hope that you guys kind of understand how bankruptcy and liquidity go hand in hand, depending on the type of bankruptcy if the person can't make good on certain things. So